Let me think. Lucky charm. My scarves, which right now I don't wear any. Not a lucky charm or whatever. I just use them because I love them. I don't have any lucky charm or anything like that.
Sometimes when I play a game before an LCS match, I'm like, if I win this game, I win the LCS match.
I have a lucky charm from my girlfriend. It's like a little panda plushie. Sometimes I put it on the table if it's an important match. Sometimes I just keep it in my bag.
I need to have a shirt like this under my player shirt. I'm not sure why, but it just makes me feel really comfortable.
I don't believe in luck, so I don't have anything like that.
I call it a motivation charm, you know, which is this watch my parents gave me. They were saving money for this watch, and I was so happy when they gave me, imagine. And every time I play, I look at it and remember my family, my dog, my bro, my parents. And more than a lucky charm is a motivation charm.
Welcome back to the LCS and our temporary home in the Canary Islands, and the teams for our next match are ready to go.
Bienvenidos de nuevo a nuestra casa temporal en las Islas Canarias. Los equipos están ya listos para jugar el partido.
First off, on the blue side, put your hands together one last time for Ocelot and SK Gaming. And on the red side, give it up for Ninjas and Pajamas. Now that the players are set, let's head back to our commentators, D-Man and Freak for the English stream, Gilligan y Ocho for the Spanish.
Thank you very much, Sox. You just saw the teams there on stage, and here in Tenerife, it is certainly very hot, or a little bit humid, I think it's safe to say. But this is a big game for both of these teams, looking to end Week 6 with a victory. So let's check out the lineups.
Now on the blue side, it is SK Gaming with Kevin in the top lane, Hercubot in the jungle, Ocelot, the mid laner, Candy Panda, and Nif, AD carry and support.
And the NIP roster that's honestly becoming very familiar. It's full of stars: Extinct, Maluna, Bjergsen, Freeze, and Deficio as support. So before we get underway, let's check to see who you guys at home, the community, think will win this one. Who's going to have the better of them?
Well, it's going to be, I think, a very close matchup. However, the community doesn't really think quite as much. They're 61-39, lead towards Ninjas in Pajamas. Certainly, they're higher in the standings, but as we just saw yesterday, SK got a very convincing win over Gambit, because NIP had a pretty rough match themselves.
And don't forget, you can also go over to lolesports.com, where you can vote for the rest of today's games, and of course next week's games as well. There's a lot of things on there. Check the VODs, the match stats, everything, all under one roof. So, SK Gaming are currently tied for last place. Not a position that anyone really wants to be in, but they are working hard to get out of that position in their win against Gambit yesterday. It was a big, big win, and we just saw Fnatic doing the same thing. Gives them a lot of motivation. You could feel how badly they wanted it. Every move they looked like it was thought out, and honestly, they maybe were a little too safe in their play.
It's true. They don't quite know how to close out games. They're still having issues finding the right decisions to make, but they are making progress. They are, of course, closing out some of their games, and also have identified that they need to find something other than neutral buffs and dragons to create fights over. They can take those all the time, but they don't always get the team fight in the middle of the map that they want, so they can kind of push forward afterwards. So in the meantime, they're hedging their bets. They're picking late game champions like Vayne on Candy Panda, Karthus on Ocelot. He tried Xerath as well to try to siege people away from their own turret. So maybe if they can't outmaneuver their opponents, they can at least outscale them, and it's worked somewhat. So, however, this all hinges on Hercubot. He's got to land some great ganks, or for Nif to land some great hooks, so they can win the early lanes and then just start playing the win game.
Yeah, and of course, NIP on the other hand, they had a great few weeks since the making of their roster changes. However, yesterday's defeat still shows they're far from being perfect.
It's true, and this is a team that, I mean, Ninjas in Pajamas in general, as long as the organization has been around, is a team that you applaud for their individual skill. They're probably the most individually talented team in Europe. In my opinion, you don't have to agree with me, but that's my thought on it. And they normally have an amazing laning phase. You never see Bjergsen, Defrizio, or Extinct lose their lanes, but as you saw against Lemon Dogs, they had it figured out. Bjergsen never got rolling, and Lemon Dogs took a huge early advantage with a bunch of dragons and turrets. So, you know, Ninjas Pajamas, though, they still have really good team fighting. As you saw even from that game, they can still team fight from behind, but they have to make sure they don't get the game out of reach.
And for today's featured matchup, of course, we're going to be looking at the top laners because Kevin and Extinct have been magnificent for both of their teams.
Yeah, so they have a really different approach to the top lane, which I find very interesting. They share a few. They share a few important. Yeah, wow, my brain's not working. They share a few important picks like Shen, Elise, and Kennen, but the similarities kind of stop there because Kevin has been a top laner for freaking ever. I mean, he was a mid laner for like, what, a month on SK Gaming when Ocelot was like, I'm pushing the top lane.
No, I'm not.
And that didn't happen. So he's basically always been a top laner, which means that he brings in bruisers like Renekton and Aurelia into the lineup. And when you saw SK's win over Gambit, that was Kevin's Renekton going 5-1-14, helping to carry that game. Extinct, though, is a converted mid laner. He plays casters a lot more, so Elise and Kennen are actually more sort of necessary in that champion pool, and I wouldn't be surprised to see like Ryze or Lissandra out of him this game as well. Now, as far as the game is concerned, though, on a whole, both these players have a pretty similar impact. They tend to carry a good amount, so if they fight 1v1, it's a really important lane to keep track of.
Well, we are in front of a fairly busy crowd here. There is, of course, many things going on here. 1,600 people in the LAN event. Comic-Con going on the side, as well as the LCS that is happening right here on your screens. Ninjas in pajamas, looking like they're ready. There's Freeze. He's a little bit red, isn't he?
He looks a little melted.
He wasn't lying when he said he got a bit sunburnt. Looks like he's definitely taken a bit of a hit. Bjergsen, no, it looks like he's kept himself out of it. Kept his cool, I think you could say, unlike Freeze.
Unlike Freeze, oh well. Of course, you know, maybe the coldness has kind of radiated out and kept his teammates a little bit safe.
Looks like a little bit red as well. Looks like the NIP team have all been out there. And in fact, Ocelot said to us yesterday, he's like, what is wrong with you English people? I've been out in the sun all morning and I'm not even burnt. I was like, yeah, you live in Madrid. It's slightly different temperature than back in the UK. So Candy Panda alongside him just talked about the plushie he always has there, that little panda that his girlfriend gave him to him. And it's interesting that a lot of gamers do have things like this. I remember way back with Fatality with his little tiger. And
remember that?
Actually to the point where Too Good stole it once and he wouldn't even play until it was back on his desk. There's a story that Too Good, I'm sure, will tell the world. He's told it many, many times. We're into picks and bans, though. Kassadin and Draven being removed, so they don't want to see Freeze on Draven. No surprise there. Twisted Fate and Karthus being banned out. Remember, Twisted Fate got through in the last match and nobody picked him. The first time I recall in the European LCS.
So here we go. These bans, of course, make a ton of sense for these guys. You can't let Freeze have Draven, and the Karthus being dropped away from Ocelot removes one of those champions they had used to carry out through the late game. So NIP are aware of the types of things that scare them, the Bjergsen and Kassadin. Of course, again, there are a lot of respect bans here, which means a lot of the sort of mandatory picks, the guys like Nunu and Elise and Kennen, and I'm forgetting another one that's really important as well, have slipped through so far. So it's something that you need to consider now.
Maybe
Fresh, the big one.
Stoner.
Yeah.
Lissandra has been very big, actually, and just seeing Elise being banned out, no surprise. Their Vayne first pick?
That's very...
No.
It's a possibility because it's a champion that Freeze would be happy to play, and they want to make sure they get one of those endgame carries, make sure that one doesn't get stolen out.
Interesting.
I'm thinking of other carry mages, and I feel like denying a Ryze. Like, I don't remember Ocelot playing it a lot, but if you're a professional mid laner, you've got to know how to play Ryze, and that's kind of the only other super hardcore AP carry I can think of right now, and it's something that's, you've got Bjergsen and Extinct in your team.
Well, I mean, that was a clear plan from SK, because that was instantly put in and locked off. They knew from the picks and bans that was what they were having. Leaves a lot of things open for NIP, which is why NIP seem a little bit dazed and confused after that. They're like, well, what?
Well, you can see a Varus and maybe even a Thresh like this come through here. They're good bully lanes for Vayne. It's hard to thrive in a lane that outranges you and pokes very hard, so I wouldn't be surprised to see like Sona come out if they have to 2v2 that one. However, if SK can hide their Vayne into a 2v1, then she'll get to scale for free, and then NIP could say, okay, well, can we outpush you? Can we kill your turret really fast? And that could be really powerful as well.
Well, Pusher was in the last game, so they're not going to outdo him.
They can't push
played
you
well
this
as
game.
well.
He's on Fnatic.
Well, of course, it is Orianna. That means Bjergsen will be on seemingly his main champion these days.
And Orianna is so powerful for them. It actually is a champion that can help lock up the Vayne in general, and he's been able to win his lane with Orianna a number of times in a row. I remember him 1v1ing Pharrell Lord with Ari this weekend and crushing him in minion score. But SK, though, with those picks coming through early on, and of course that was a champion that NIP could also have denied from Ocelot. He's a big Orianna player. They give up Nunu, and blood boiling a Vayne, you don't necessarily even need a mage to carry, you just need a blood boiled Vayne, and you could have enough damage. So SK could potentially play Protect the Candy Panda, and it'll work out.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be Herky bot in the jungle with Nunu. And long gone are the days of support Nunu. It does mean Nami could be selected, and this opens up a world of opportunity and puns, I believe.
There is. Well, right now it's not going to be here just yet. So
almost.
It's the Lissandra, and Kevin has played Lissandra once, so it's not a guaranteed pick right here. Lissandra versus Orianna, I feel like Bjergsen would win that heads up, so we'll see if that ends up being the real matchup here. But it gives the team hard engage. It's not a hard carry though, so we'll see if it's a different form here. But it does give them the ability to dive turrets if SK gets ahead. They can start fights under turrets. Ocelot can take some early turret aggro, then self-cast R, and then and swap aggro.
You say Ocelot, but Kevin's played Lissandra as well.
Or Kevin, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is actually still keeping options open for SK, keeping NIP guessing which way this is going. Looks like Caitlyn's the fallback for Freeze, so you're going to have to go with that one, which honestly he didn't play it. He didn't really go with the right item choice that you were talking about yesterday when he was up against the Lemon Dogs.
Yeah, he went for this weird Blade of the Ruin King, like he went Blade of the Ruin King Phantom, I guess I've seen Blade of the Ruin King Phantom Dancer Caitlyn, which was a little interesting.
Mundo locked in.
Let's talk about Mundo instead.
Showing his face.
And Mundo I actually like a lot for running out of Vayne, because Vayne does a lot of percent like max health damage and hurts you off, and you know, tries to pin his tongue down, but the problem is Mundo regenerates so much and keeps running around and kind of refuses to be shut down. He can keep Kevin hitting him and just survive throughout the entire battle, so that's a good thing right there, just a meat wall to throw into his way.
Well, we saw MVP Ozone running Mundo this morning. It was Hom, I believe, in that top lane, so it's definitely being used in the Korean OGN scene. So maybe the European scene are looking towards it. We did see it last week, I believe, in the top lane. I'm trying to think who played it.
I don't remember.
Or was that OGN as well? I see that many games. They all bleed into one. I'm pretty sure it was the OGN. So this may be the first EU LCS. But Jace, look at this. How has Jace managed to get through to the 7th pick? So this could be Ocelot or Kevin once again, and it looks like it will be Nif on Nami.
And this is a good champion pool here for SK. This is a good setup because it actually gives them the late game hyperscale that they've always sort of wanted. That first pick for Kevin the Vayne, sure, that's wonderful. But now with Jace to poke things out and try to get NIP off their turrets, which is what they tried to do with Xerath earlier this week, actually back on Thursday. But they also have the Lissandra to also facilitate dives they want. Facilitate, Nami can come in off the back of that one with her tidal wave, and the team can flood through. SK have a good way of closing out games here, which is valuable.
Not final pick. Will it be Fizz? Not sure on that one. Deficio hanging around. We have seen a Fizz so far in the mid lane, but and we've seen Orianna in the top lane actually as well.
It's true. So the thing is, there's nothing he's really going to assassinate all that well. I feel like he wouldn't have the best matchup against any of these guys. So there we go. It's going to be the Diana, and Diana works really well as a ball delivery champion. It's a champion that Extinct would know, being a former mid laner. It's one of the champions you've got to know as a mid laner, especially throughout the end of Season 2. And she can dive in, start a fight, and Candy Panda is not going to have fun in this game anymore.
This is definitely a different setup from NIP, though. The fact that they've thrown Diana out. It's the first Diana we've seen in the summer split for the LCS. The first Mundo, I believe, in the summer split. So immediately changing things up. But I guess against SK, they are really hyper late game. I mean, they are going to be so strong late game if NIP don't deal with him early.
Yes, NIP's comp is meat wall hard engage. It is, we're going to run our faces into you, and you're all going to be, I mean, you've got the Orianna ball into Diana's Moonfall as well, so you're all stuck there. The box comes out, and there just will be the DPS that you need, and the team will tank through it. You've got the shield from Diana, the shield from Bjergsen's Orianna, the regeneration from Mundo. Deficio can throw a shield down as well on Thresh. Meanwhile, Freeze and Bjergsen are on the back line, free of any assault right here. And if you're Candy Panda, you're just sad. If you're the Jace, you're just sad. So I like this NIP combo, hardcore engage, which is going to stop SK from getting to that end game section.
And you can see that everyone back in their seats, ready and waiting for this matchup. Standing room only here in Tenerife, or Tenerife if you're English. If you're Spanish, the Spanish are all been like, it's Tenerife. It's like, well, we're English, so not for us, I'm afraid.
We're technically correct.
We're technically correct. Ocelot,
Ocelote.
Ocelota, as his proper pronunciation there with his scarf on. As always, focused on the game as it just loads up. Just transfixing, expecting to see how he's going to do with Jace. Dropping the hammer on Bjergsen, I think that's probably what he's imagining there. That's what he's hoping. So Kevin will be on Lissandra in that top lane. We'll see how that works out against a Diana.
And we got to look at the lane matchup because NIP wants to fight the 2-on-2. Nami Vayne doesn't have the best time against Thresh Kate. They're outranged. There's not a lot of sustain, and NIP's all-in is really good. So if they get that 2-on-2, Deficio is just going to fish for hooks. He's probably going to catch one of at some point, and he's going to reel in a really big catch.
Well, we'll see how that works out. Level 1 fights generally don't happen too often here in the LCS. We did see in the Challenger Series, look at that for a stat. Thresh, 100% win rate, 5 games played as well. That is a very good stat to have. Maybe, just maybe, that's why he chose to go for Thresh over Nami.
It's definitely a powerful champion here, and it creates a lot of opportunities. Actually, I remember there's one of the games he had like #1 or the #2 kills on his team on Thresh because he just happens to be, they ignore him, they don't go for him right away. He gets a bunch of souls and starts just hitting you over the head with his hooks, and he starts to be a pretty decent DPS threat, so it's something to be considered. SK though running right through a ward means they're I don't think they can like get a 3-for-1 buff trade. Ooh, Hercubot, because of that ward, could potentially try to like flash steal the blue though.
We'll see whether they do or not. We'll see whether anything's going to come around from that one. Of course, could consume rather than smite, so he's got a number of options available. We'll see which way he starts. Looks like he's going to be starting off at the red buff, and the same for Maluno on Mundo.
Yeah, so I want to actually point out a situation here because SK have actually warded the exit from Maluno's red to SK's blue, so they will see if Mundo goes for a steal right here. I'm actually going to make sure that that ward, it actually won't quite spot the route in if he goes all the way around to the left of Baron Pit, but there's a good chance that SK, because of the early jungle power of Nunu, could get a 3-for-1 buff trade just by outplaying Maluno here.
Let's see which way he goes. Looks like it's going to be the duo lane in towards the top as well, so that would mean that Freeze and Deficio, or Defricio as they've become known, will be up in a 2v1 against Kevin on Lissandra, but I don't think Kevin's going to be worrying too much about that. He's got a lot of range, he's going to be farming out no problem on the turret.
It's much better for SK Gaming here, and actually they're going to spot Mundo going through the ward though, so now unfortunately for SK, NIP have the numbers advantage. They've got Deficio down here, so they will be able to go 2-for-2 on buffs because of their lane swap.
Yeah, he does take that with the smite, Maluno, so he's double buffed up already. Hercubot will be taking away blue buff of his own. He's taking that one with a consume smite. It quickly drops. We'll see whether they go for any ganks. So Maluno's going to take away the wolf, so he's not done yet. But it looks like Hercubot, he's going to go possibly on towards the tower here, maybe try and dive in towards Extinct.
This is standard timing right here. Extinct is still level 1, does not have any good defensive tools, didn't learn the shield, so they're going to get this turret basically for free, and Extinct won't get any XP. The longer they deny Diana, the longer she's useless right here. She needs 6 to do anything in a team fight, and so proxying this wave, keeping her from being in XP range, this is exactly what SK wants.
SK doing a fantastic job at that. We can see Kevin also backed off, so both NIP and SK doing the exact same thing. It will be that very early 3-minute tower, as it's often been known as. And, well, SK may just actually hold it longer. No, they're going to have to take it down because NIP have already taken this one.
That's a very, very smart move. However, there's a little bit of greed coming in here from the Diana. Extinct's trying to get a little bit into XP range. You can see him just lurking around in the shadows. And SK, though, they're not putting enough damage on the turret to have it fall right away, which means it's denying the next minion wave, or at least part of it right here as they clean up this one. So now it's, okay, how much can Extinct freeze, and how much pressure can NIP put on this turret?
Can they keep going with the push? That's the question. Kevin trying his best. He's got level 2, though. He's managed to get 1 CS. Meanwhile, SK Gaming are trying to do the same thing. They're trying to catch the Aqua Prison on towards Extinct. He just backs away from this one, but this turret, it's already down to half health. They're going to continue pushing here. Maluno taken down a little bit low, though, so they're going to have to give up after this wave.
NIP's making a lot more progress, but no one from SK they're finally rotating away. This is the trade. SK is going for Dragon to sacrifice their secondary turret. I'm surprised, actually, that NIP aren't just going for that turret kill. SK is going to get the better deal here.
I think this moment they realized that NIP were backing away. They're like, they're stepping away from this one. We've got free reign of it. Go for that Dragon. Very nicely played from SK Gaming in the opening 5 minutes.
That's so strange. NIP could have taken that secondary turret down. They were afraid, though, of the MAS from SK that it was going to counter-gank them and turn a bunch of kills around, but I think that's a missed opportunity right here. So we've got to recount the other lanes, though. We've seen, okay, turrets have gone down, Dragon pick up, the AD carries got free farm. So the mid lane is something that I care about. Ocelot versus Bjergsen. I said early on that Bjergsen normally did very, very well on Orianna, but right now he's holding an equal minion kill sort of score right here against Ocelot. He's gone back to buy, he's going to have a lot of mana to spend, but ultimately, it's just a close lane right here.
It's a very close lane between the two tops as well, because they both get themselves just joining up to 10 CS. Junglers, of course, didn't really take a great deal of their own jungle. It was all about pushing, and we'll see how that's helped out or not helped out, as the case may be, for the junglers, because they wouldn't have got a great deal of gold from doing that, although everybody universally got the gold from the tower. And of course for SK from that Dragon, which will help out the supports. You can see that Nif actually building up towards he's going for a side stone first, but potentially going to go Philo Stone.
Nif is one of the only players I've seen actually reliably get a Philosopher's Stone, even on like tanky champions like Thresh, who aren't going to use the regen all that much. So Nif having some extra gold throughout this game will help them actually play the Vision game later on. That Philo Stone will eventually pay for an Oracle's itself, and that's very, very valuable.
So Extinct up against Kevin in this top lane, going to get himself a nice chunky wave. Oh, look at that Maluna just lingering out there, but Cyanide's there as well. We see Ocelot, though, teleporting the bottom lane. They're going in for freeze. Can he manage to drop the hammer? Barrier comes out. Hammer's in back in there. Aqua Prison not quite going to land, but Ocelot's close enough. He picks up first blood. It's actually Candy Panda, sorry, they got the final bolt in there, and now they're on towards Deficio. Can the Aqua Prison come back out? It's still on cooldown just at the moment. One more shot should do it. Ocelot gets it. That's the second kill.
Absolutely beautiful right there. When the turret's gone like that, it opens up the ability to dive for a very long time. And when you have the slow and haste from Nami, you have the acceleration gate from Ocelot, also the flash knockback that he did there as well to put Freeze back into his team. That's a scary thing to be in. You don't always want to be against two champions with your turret dead, because things like that happen a lot.
And Nif continuing off where he left from yesterday. No surprise in 23 KDA yesterday. They played magnificently well against Gambit Gaming, and starting off 0-0-2 is a very good start for him. He could certainly go back and complete that side stone, maybe even just go towards the Philo Stone early on, start getting that gold ticking. Candy Panda and Nif, though, they're sticking around in this bottom lane. They're both hit level 5 there. And we can see just 3 and 4 for Deficio and Freeze. So this is already starting to be pressure on NIP.
And this is the real risk, though, is that Candy Panda is scaling up now into the end game. He dodged having to fight a 2v2 lane for a very long time. And now that he's got some sustain in his build, he's got the double Doran's Blade, he's got 1,300 gold, so he can afford a Vamp Scepter whenever he wants it. Candy Panda's no longer going to get shoved out of lane, and he'll keep scaling.
And we do see Ocelot actually being engaged upon by Bjergsen, already using the shockwave on Ocelot there. We just got it off camera. Ocelot's going to purposely back away from this one, doesn't want another command attack onto him, and keeps those balls at bay.
So Maluno right now is going to just keep control over his jungle, but you can see the SKers, they're a little bit around right there, but the pink ward control from NIP still lets them take this one pretty much for free. Bjergsen should be okay to take the blue buff and keep control. And Bjergsen we normally see on Orianna, even though he's got Ignite here, he does have kill potential. He tends to wave clear a lot and go and take Wraiths over and over and try to snowball a big minion kill lead. So right now, Bjergsen is up 7 minions. That might expand really fast.
Well, let's look at this top lane. Extinct actually just backing off from Kevin. It's kind of the highlighted matchup, but we haven't had a chance to really look at it because they were kept separate for so long that they're both simply just playing the farming game right now.
But they're now on double Dorans on both sides. Pretty equal levels, pretty equal experience, and so they can finally fight for themselves. The weird thing, though, is that because Kevin's turret is dead, that lane is actually pushed pretty far down the lane, which means Extinct is going to be alone here.
He just stood there, and Hercubot's like, well, fine, I'm going to run up and put an Ice Blast in your face, throw off the absolute zero, but the defensive ball comes out from Bjergsen. The rest of NIP do come around in defensive duties. It is a 3-on-3 in this mid lane. I don't think they're going to pursue it any further.
They won't be able to, so a good escape right there. The command dissonance there from Orianna helping both to haste him away and actually slow down any pursuers as well. But I was talking about how alone that top lane is going to be. Extinct makes his way back in, has still very limited ward control, and if Kevin can freeze this successfully, it's going to be very hard for Extinct to make his way in and get good farm.
Well, there is a CS advantage built up for Freeze because he did wipe out that wave and clear it, shove it back on. Candy Panda, of course, will buffer that straight back up because you can see him just down that bottom. So that gap in the CS will close itself in just a few moments. And honestly, that's actually good news for Candy Panda. You talked about how he's effectively not had to deal with that 2v1 lane. He's kept himself in there so often. So many games we see a Vayne just become the ultimate killing machine towards the end.
It's a real possibility for this to happen because he's got a team that can set him up for success. The blood boil, the crowd control available from his support and his top laner here, it gives a lot of options. You can see when Candy Panda's on Vayne, he's a 15 KDA. 3/4 of the games he plays Vayne, he wins. And honestly, that is both SK reliably finding an endgame composition and Candy Panda being so proficient at running around in team fights, dodging skill shots, and just excelling. And it's something we're likely to see in this game as well.
Of course, the problems that have plagued SK Gaming is simply how to finish those games off. They often start out so well in the lane phase, which they have done here. Again, got themselves 1,000+ gold advantage, and it looks like they're going to go for Dragon once again. But Maluno is close. They're fishing to see if they can find anything here, as SK Gaming have 5 members fully in defense. NIP can't fight for this one once again.
And that's because the lanes are pushed. SK holds 1,000 gold lead. They're just stronger right there. Extinct stuck also because Extinct is stuck on one side of the map, whereas Kevin had already pulled himself over as well. And SK are prioritizing these big map objectives. Kevin pushed the lane as hard as he could, got back in time for Dragon. Then he's going to get there right as it reaches the turret and not lose any progress.
So Seeker's Arm Guard coming out from Bjergsen. First major item, I guess you could say. Will he go straight for Zhonya's? I don't think he will. I think he's merely defensive against the Ocelot's aggression that he's been putting down. He's got the double long swords. We do see Candy Panda, condemned not to freeze, but already 90 caliber net just got him away from that.
And I'm actually surprised that Freeze isn't playing Officer Caitlyn, because then he could at least yell freeze, and it would be so thematic. But not the case this time around. Ocelot gonna 1v1 Bjergsen some more, and you're seeing the minion kill lead for Bjergsen actually grow. He's been able to, now granted Ocelot's been running around for ganks a little bit more, but Bjergsen becoming a hardcore carry, when you get a couple hundred ability power on Orianna, she gets real scary, and that's gonna be one of the sort of endgame hopefuls for NIP.
Maluna takes another snowball in the back. Certainly not something you'd find here in Tenerife, that's for sure. Unless Jason's maybe put them in the fridge again. That's a joke for another time, though. But Maluna getting caught in the Aqua Prison and then surfs the wave. He doesn't get away with it. Candy Panda with the final bolt in the coffin.
That's rough right there. Good kill, pick up the CC. Just chain right there enough to make the damage happen. And even though Candy Panda doesn't have a lot of damage items yet, it's just enough there when the team locks him in place. A early game Mundo, just that's the thing that you can kill early on in the game, but it's going to get harder as time goes on.
And Extinct's thinking about it. Look, he started walking down, he's like, oh, wait a minute. 2 of them have gone missing here. This is not a good move. I should probably back away from this one. SK Gaming putting pressure on that mid turret. Extinct this time will come around as soon as he catches vision of all members of SK. And SK Gaming wisely just back away and head off to their lanes, dispersing Candy Panda down to the bottom, Kevin up to the top. Got them source boots now as well as Extinct, and the farming between these two, it stayed pretty even so far. We may see Extinct going a little bit aggressive onto Kevin. No, Kevin's just going to step away from this one, doesn't really want to engage just yet.
I'm a little surprised that Extinct actually went for early Sorcerer's Shoes. It does give him some movement speed, which can help him escape in these weird gank scenarios and whatnot, but the fact that he's gone full squishy despite being one of his team's core initiators, delaying Zhonya's, delaying Abyssal Scepter, all these durability items he would normally need as Diana, I want to see if that pays off for him, if he can actually assassinate the Vayne, which seems to be his goal right here because of the Magic Pen build, or if he's going to get blown up in fights and not do much when he engages.
Well, the mid lane is where, Ocelot and Bjergsen's run away with the CS, and the few times he has played Orianna. He struggled, though, yesterday against the Lemon Dogs, and today Ocelot is certainly keeping him in check. It's just a 6 CS difference so far, 7 CS, sorry. And in terms of the AD carries, it's still very, very tight between them, but you can see 1,000 gold advantage for Candy Panda.
That's what happens when you have 2 kills, an assist, and a Dragon lead as well. So that's paying off well for Candy Panda. And the funny thing is, SK are happy to even though they're the team in lead by 3,000 gold, they're the team that's kind of happy to wait around for a while. They're waiting for Ocelot's tier to stack up and turn into Muramana. They're waiting for Kevin to be a big burst caster and probably get his Zonias at some point so that he can hardcore engage and not get killed. And they're saying, look, Candy Pen, at the very least, we're going to wait till you have Blade of the Ruin King so that you can really become crazy and outplay people in team fights. But, of course, in the meantime, you might as well get some ganks on. Hercubot looks for the top lane.
Well, Hercubot's looking for the top lane. Kevin's trying to bait him in there. Wasn't really working out. Maybe he's going to go aggressive. Maluna's just coming in from the side. Absolute Zero is going to get dropped off there. Extinguer's frozen up. Is it going to be enough? The Ignite should take him down. Yes, it does. Now they're onto Maluna. Teleport comes in. Ocelot joins the party. Is it going to be enough? They've got minions there. We do see Bjergsen trying to make his way up through there. They have got vision coverage. Just pulls the ward in the Triber, so they know that Bjergsen's going to be off the side. It's going to be the turret, surely, for SK Gaming.
It's very likely there. And what you saw was the risk of not running Mercury Treads against a team that likes to crowd control you for a living. Chain slowed, locked in place, stunned afterwards, couldn't get away from it. That's rough for Extinct. He's picking up a Negatron Cloak now, and NIP? No, they're not going to get this.
They're not going to get this, but look at this in the mid lane. Candy Panda's got himself a wave, and he's got free time to just burn down that turret, and he's going to put a lot of damage on there before anyone gets close. Freeze is the nearest member. He's going to come down, but I think Candy Panda's taking it.
That's going to be one more attack to go, and Candy Panda left to run away. Very good pickup there. SK managing to split up the opposition and capitalizing off of a simple jungle gank. Hercubot saying, well, I got nothing better to do. I might as well go try to kill a top laner. Found it, and then said, wait, well, now we can capitalize. Now we can get out of turret. Screw it. Yeah, I might as well. It's free. And that's so good for SK to make those adaptations. They don't need to make this much pressure, but when the options are there, they're happy to take it.
Absolutely piling on the early pressure. 4.8 thousand gold lead now over NIP early on. That's a big chunk of change just coming into 16 minutes. We're going to see Candy Panda wiping out that bottom wave as well. He's got that Blade of the Rune King complete, so he's just getting all the free farm he can handle right now. He's keeping up with Freeze in terms of farm, keeping up with a Caitlyn. That is not good news for Freeze.
And especially when you consider it's actually a 1,400 gold lead, not just a equal minion score, because his team is excelling so much. So you're gonna have the break point of the first big item already done here for Candy Panda. He's already got Blade of the Ruin King, has got enough money for Xerxes or most of his Zeal, or sorry, a completed Zeal if he wanted to. Whereas Freeze is sitting on like, well, I got a BF sword and 300 gold. So I'll see you in 2K when I've got my Infinity Edge.
See you in a while, Crocodile, but it's not working out for him. You can see, actually, Kevin nearly got that Zhonya's Hourglass completed as well. Oh, Freeze using the barrier there. He thought he was going to get more aggression from Candy Panda. Instead, all he simply did was condemn him on the wall and back away from that one. So barrier almost wasted.
And now NIP are tired of losing. They're grouping up to contest this dragon. They knew the timer. They're waiting around. You can see the ball being used for some extra map vision right there. But the poke is here from SK. Candy Panda is being safe enough to not get caught. If SK plays this right, they should still keep dragon control, even though NIP doesn't want to give it up.
Bjergsen's going to have to land himself a good Shock Blast, but he gets caught out by the wave. Aqua Prison comes back in there. Shock Blast, the Shock Wave does come in, but Ocelot's about to drop the hammer on Bjergsen. There it is, the final Shock Blast in the back. Now we're going to see the bolts landing on towards the backside of Maluna. He's forced to back away, and you can see, and Candy Panda really wants to find blood. Freeze forced to back away, and SK Gaming in full control now, taking another dragon.
And that was safety in numbers for SK Gaming. They actually stayed grouped up, whereas NAP was kind of spread around somewhere in the lane, somewhere near blue buff. Poor Bjergsen was off on the left-hand side alone. And when you're like that, when you're so spread out, you can just initiate off with Nami and pick up free kills. Kevin in a duel with this thing.
Kevin's going to go in there. Has he got enough right now? I'm not too sure he has. Instead, Kevin just zips away from that one. He's like, I don't know what you're looking at. We do see the Deficio getting caught out here. Candy Panda's maybe gone a little too deep. Uses that barrier, but look at the damage from Freeze. Comes back in, pops the Absolute Zero. Aqua Prison not going to land. Freeze has to flash away from that one. Candy Panda saved by Nif.
That was a narrow fight, though. Candy Panda took a lot of damage early on there, and it was Hercubot actually face-tanking the Thresh hook that saved Candy Panda there. That would have been the death if it landed. So you've got to realize that even though he's really big on Vayne, you've still got to be a little bit careful in some of these fights. And actually, just like last game we saw this, he rushed the Quicksilver Sash again, Candy Panda. He's so afraid of getting caught out and getting bursted by mages, he's rushed an early defensive item.
Very early defensive item. Blue buff going across towards Bjergsen. He's actually struggling out to build anything right now, Bjergsen. He's kind of split focus, split targeted. The lane phase, I think he was hoping that would last a little bit longer. It's been a fairly short lane phase for both of these teams, and it's SK that obviously been creating the chaos.
So Bjergsen's going for a Merlin Omicron next. He wants the cooldown reduction to get more shields out, to get shockwaves more frequently, and keep the ball moving around, and that's all well and fine. We've actually seen him go Doran's Ring into tier a lot. It means he's got a freaking ton of mana and can farm forever, which is, again, the thing he wants to do. 183 minions on the losing team in 19 minutes is a good clip right there. So he's trying to farm up. He's set himself up to just keep the gold coming in. But the problem is he's got nothing really completed here, so his power spike is still yet to come.
So the Morel Nomicon was completed by him. Candy Panda's going to start off the blue. That's going to be given across to Ocelot in just a moment, who's slowly stepping over, who's just completed as well in Muramana. Oh, that didn't work. hit the back lizards, comes around, drops the hammer on them. So Bloodbuff now, and Ocelot with that big power spike item with the Brutalizer on there as well. He's going to come around and defend out this mid lane. The Aqua Prison actually getting blown out there, and instead the Dark Passage had to be taken by Bjergsen straight to safety.
And here comes the real fun, because the Siege game is going to be pretty easy for SK Gaming. The Muramana, Brutalizer, and cooldown boots already done here for Ocelot. So he's going to just toss out Shock Blast, have a crap ton of mana to sit behind, and Kevin can wait in the wings looking for an engagement whenever NIP gets too low.
We've seen it so many times. Lysandra coming out from the jungle and causing chaos. Maluna throwing out that chopper, trying to find him. Or big meat cleaver, as I think it was referred to yesterday by Joe. And when you got to show your Mundo faces,
gotta hold one up.
Be careful what you hold up, though, that's for sure. SK Gaming, they are looking very strong in this one. It's around about a 6,000 gold lead for them. 5-0 in kills and 3-1 in turrets. Maluno takes himself the wolves, or more importantly, Bjergsen takes the wolves.
Ocelot stole those.
Did he steal those with the Shock Blast?
Yeah, he did.
Sneaky little... Not going to say that because he'll get in trouble for it.
Sneaky little Piltovian.
But look at the top lane. We see 280 carries once again, continuing to keep that farm going. 164 to 167 between both AD carries. Still very close. You could surely give it right now to Candy Panda in a duel, though.
It's very, very likely. Vayne is one of the best champions for dueling a champion, or especially dueling an AD carry, especially Caitlyn, who has very few clutch tools against someone who chases that well. Only Draven really stands a chance here, and so Candy's going to have a very good time. If he ever gets into a duel, I guess honestly almost any of them will probably win that fight.
And it seems to be working well. SK Gaming have taken advantage of that wave that he's pushed there, looking to maybe push on towards it. They've got a wave pushed in this mid lane as well with Kevin, Ocelot, and Nif, and Herkybot, sorry, here. Meanwhile, up the top lane, Candy Panda's keeping two of them busy, so it's actually a 4-on-3 in the mid lane at the moment. Freeze was there with Maluno. He's continuing to farm. He's quite happy to stay in this lane while the rest of SK push to the mid.
And the siege will work pretty well for SK, but there's a big minion wave on the bottom side of the map that no one's cleaning up and will eventually reach the SK turret. SK should get that going the other way to pull another NIP member off the map. However, because Candy Panda is so good 1v1, you're seeing him pull a lot of attention.
And of course, you're going to see the Blood Boil on towards Ocelot. He'll actually be able to chug down that turret fairly fast. Instead, they're keeping the siege going. They're keeping the Shock Blast landing on towards Bjergsen, forcing him back for a short while there. Kevin's got some great wave clear as well, throwing out that claw. So he's having no problems keeping the siege going. Herkybot goes up. He's going about ready to put the Blood Boil on Candy Panda. They've tried to bait this one out. They're going to go towards Extinct. They do manage to get the 3 prongs on towards him. Those silver bolts firing off, but Candy Panda's forced to back away with that. Has to use the Condemn on Extinct there. And now Freeze tries to go aggressive. Ace in the hole is going to be available. No mana. No mana, indeed. And you see the teleport from Ocelot just simply playing defensively. And I think SK Gaming may well have to back away from this one. There's good lifesteal for Candy Panda, so they may stick around.
Yeah, Scumbag also is actually stealing away a lot of these minions here that Candy would love to lifesteal, but now this ball scares them. Candy would die to a shockwave combo there, even with his magic resist. And you're right, actually, this actually might just be enough to stop SK from sieging unless they can find a minion wave advantage. That bottom lane already reset off the SK turret. It's actually pushing now back towards NIP. If SK has the foresight, they can actually force something from this minion wave aggression.
Well, they've been sitting on a lot of gold because they've been sieging for a long period of time there. So certainly Candy Panda can see he's built up 1,400 gold. Ocelot's sitting on nearly 1,600 as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them backing off. The Shock Blast still coming out just to keep those minions off that mid lane turret and keep NIP at bay.
So, okay, a couple of them gotten back, a couple of them still have not right there. 1,700 gold on Ocelot, who is sitting there in the mid lane. 1,400 here on Candy Panda, who's also waiting around. These guys could complete important items right here. It's very close to last whisper for Ocelot. Zeal is already available if he needs it for Candy Panda. These are important power spikes. However, they're waiting around because even without buying, they're more powerful. Blue buff is up, Dragon is up, and these are things that SK cannot leave open to NIP. They need to hold on to these, take them away to snowball the game even more forward.
And that's exactly what they're doing. They steal away the blue, they're stealing away the Dragon, keeping that gold sliding in their direction. And you can see now it's up to 7,000 gold. Big advantage built up for SK Gaming. They did the same thing to Gambit. They closed out that game. They are looking to do the same towards NIP, who have been on a charge the last few weeks. But here in Tenerife, it is not going well for them. They lost the Ninjas in Pajamas, to Lemon Dogs yesterday. And right now, if they lose this game, it is going to bring SK Gaming right back into the mix.
Exactly, it will. So let's see if these guys can do it. SK looking to get towards the top of the standings. They don't want to be that team tied for last. They want to be the team at least in the top 4. They can have it by the end of this week or next.
You heard Peke say in the interview afterwards, he's saying, I think it's just going to be like 1 or 2 games between all of the teams to come the end of the season that's going to decide who wins, who loses. And that's why he's saying every single win, no matter where it is, who it's against, is so important right now.
It's a very real possibility. And you can see SK, even though they were down and out for quite a while there, and NIP had such a good charge, as you mentioned, they're still holding on. They're kind of finding their identity a little bit more. They're finding what they needed to do all along and pushing their games forward here. So SK grabbing up their buffs, getting ready to sort of make their next move here. This was always the issue for these guys, was what do we do when the outer turrets are down and no one fights us at Dragon? We get a 7,000 gold lead because we're up 2 turrets and we're up some farm and we're up Dragons, but now what? We can't risk Baron in a 5v5. We're not that far ahead. You guys aren't stopping us when you steal your blue buff. We're getting some gold, but this has always been the difficult part for SK. We'll see if the Jace Siege and the Lysandra Initiate is enough, or if they have to keep laning and just waiting until they're too big to fall.
Well, they're doing exactly as they did in the top lane. Oh, Maluna going aggressive on towards Nif there, forcing the flash out from him actually. Hercubot is going to get aggressed on. He gets pulled in, the Shock Blast and the I can remember Sunfire, I can never remember the damn name of it. Maluna though, he's going to get turned around and Kevin just blocks him off. And again, a lot of ultimates used there by Ninjas in Pajamas to try and catch on towards SK Gaming. They were desperate to get a kill. Moonfall, that's the damn word I was looking for.
So 3 ultis burned there, 3 big cooldown ultis burned by NIP. SK burned only 2, so they theoretically have the stronger team fight as long as their health is high enough. And the thing is, they fought that battle without Candy Panda. Candy Panda was split pushing the bottom side of the map the entire time and got a free turret off this. It's a very smart move by SK. Candy's so big, he can win any duel, so he's the split pusher now for SK, and that's working for him.
And look at Hercubot, he's straight in the face of Extinct there. Absolute Zero's going to go off, they're going to turn back around in this one, they're going to lock him up, he tries to go aggressive, Kevin pops out the Sonya's Hourglass, and he is safe. And wow, just like that, Ocelot picks himself up a kill, Candy Panda going looking for a kill of his own on towards Maluna there. Maluna just backs off, and he continues to farm out the wave. SK Gaming taking big advantages here.
They got a kill, they got a turret, but they have very low health bars, so in order to not risk getting jumped on and losing something like Baron, they're going to recall back. Home guards picked up for Kevin just to get him back and farming waves again and back into the mix more quickly, and that's absolutely fine for them. They can spend that 500 gold and just get themselves into the mix some more. So the siege still continuing, the split push still happening here for Candy Panda. As long as he has ward coverage, and he does if you check out that jungle to his left, he's going to be safe here.
Well, Bjergsen has built that Seraph's Embrace up now, has finally got that stacked out. He needs to start getting some more damage there, though, because as you just saw, that Shock Blast, it didn't do a great deal to Hercubot. He got Shock Blast, he got Moonfall, is the word I was looking for, and he still survived no problem. Just turned around, threw out those ice blasts of his own and just walked away.
Exactly. This game is a little bit too early for NIP's liking. Bjergsen hasn't completed his huge AP items just yet. He's got the Seraph's Embrace finally, but here comes a duel with Candy Panda and Extinct.
Oh, he used the Condemn, but he did manage to pin him on a wall, but I don't think it really matters. Oh, he's juked him. He juked him. Candy Panda's like, son of a... Oh, he's got away.
Yeah, but he still manages to burn the flash away from that one. So Candy Panda, obviously the stronger member right here, cannot be trifled with. And that is always a huge risk now, because what does NIP do to stop him? Bjergsen's going to get all his abilities tumbled. Extinct was supposed to be the duelist here, going early Magic Pen, Abyssal Scepter, a lot of burst damage. He can't do it either, so the siege continues. The turrets keep falling down. SK continue to strangle the map, and now I want to check if Nif has oracles, and he does for the next minute or so. They've blacked out vision around Baron. They could bait around that as well.
you know what it seems to me? SK Gaming have looked at what Fnatic have been doing and said, okay, we're going to do that. They've beaten Fnatic the last 2 games with essentially what's been working for SK Gaming, and they seem to be doing it nicely. Their split push is working, the 4-man drive up that mid lane, they're keeping the objectives flowing, and now they're at 5-1 in turrets, both outer and inner turrets going down. This middle one is not long left in the world either, that's pretty much gone as well. SK Gaming are keeping the pressure on so well at the moment, and Candy Panda, you can see him just off on his own. He's so confident on Vayne now, so strong that he's just happy to duel against Extinct, but as soon as Maluna comes in, he may be in trouble. He gets the ace in the hole on him. Maluna's going to try and land that chopper. No, just out of range.
And now Candy Panda can lifesteal back up, but that was close right there. Extinct was fighting him just outside of his own turret, which kept Candy Panda from actually fighting back. And so Extinct got to put out some burst, use the W, use the Q, use the R, and then back out and do it again. And Candy Panda didn't have enough minions to lifesteal off, so he kept trying. However, SK are still making headway. That mid turret is falling over. SK's team comp is still working right here, and they refuse to get caught. And if they ever find someone from NIP, they get hard engaged because of Kevin.
The moment the ping went down and said, Bjergsen's here, we can take this turret, no problem. Candy Panda rolls himself in there, or effectively tumbles himself in there and picks it up. So let's have a look at the item builds. Ocelot, he's just got himself a Black Cleaver going in there. Aegis of the Legion finally being picked up by Maluno. He's a long way behind on that Runic Bulwark. Phantom Dancer, though, just been picked up by Candy Panda, so now he's got a lot of attack speed to go with that damage.
That's so important now. He's got the real sort of 2 core Vayne damage items, a lot of attack speed to get both the Blade of the Ruin King % health damage, but also the Vayne Silverbolt's % health damage going in there. So he's going to be able to break through most of these targets fairly successfully, and even just with Red Elixir running, he's still got 186 damage. It's decent base damage here, so he'll actually be able to even the crits are not too bad here. And now the Vision War, right? They'd been winning it for a while. SK try to start Baron.
Well, and they have very quick Baron clearance, remember, with the fact that Candy Panda and Ocelot are both on AD champions with that Blood Boil. They should take this down no time. Maluna's coming around. They still haven't even got close to checking it. There goes the Baron.
So there we go, another big advantage. And every single time, NIP does not contest them on this. They don't try to even dare start a team fight because they know SK are ahead. NIP are waiting, hoping that someone slips up. SK keeps trying to not overextend, but tries to find something. Will you fight us here? Will you fight us there? Will you try to stop Baron? No, the answer is always no. They're never stopped anywhere. And so they keep taking advantages and growing their gold lead and waiting for NIP to actually team fight them.
And it doesn't seem like it's going to happen, and it's going to be another Dragon for SK Gaming. We see Candy Panda down the bottom. He's going to shove the bottom lane in. We've just seen the top lane pushed up by Ocelot. The mid wave will be the next focus, the target, where we see actually Bjergsen going very deep there, and they're going to try and cut him off. You can see Ocelot, he's already making routes across there, as is Kevin. They want to catch him out there. He's going to be able to back away in time, though, and that will be another Dragon for SK Gaming.
And there we go, undisputed control of the neutral objectives. Only 1 turret's ever fallen for these guys as well. You can see 5 dragons right there. You look at the gold lead, 13,000. Imagine those 5 dragons went the other way. It would be an incredibly close game, despite how much SK has been strangling the map. So the fact that they are relentlessly controlling that dragon, never letting up on turrets, except just the one time, which, you know, not a huge deal right there. And that was because of the 2-on-1 lane, mind you. After 4 minutes in the game, SK have not let NIP do anything.
Absolutely, they've locked them down every step of the way. And again, we see Candy Panda, he's pushed that bottom wave on. SK Gaming on both inhibitor turrets right now, seeing which one they can poke and prod and seeing where the pressure will finally buckle on Ninjas in Pajamas.
And the thing is, they don't have long-range turret damage, so they're always in danger of Extinct and Bjergsen starting a fight on them, which is why turrets are hard to kill for these guys. They've gotta, if they want to actually start a team under the turret, it's got to be a big risk with Kevin diving in. If they slowly wear the turret down, it'll take a while, but they can do it because of Baron regen.
Well, that bottom wave has been pushed out by Freeze, so the mid turret is where they're going to focus on. Remember, they have the Baron, like you say, so they have certainly plenty of time to siege on this one. A lot of damage, but the poke's not doing what it should be doing. Oh, that did, though. Bjergsen took a big shot to the face there from Ocelot, and now they're going to step up on that one. Candy Panda does get caught by Extinct there. They don't go aggressive, but they do on towards Bjergsen. Bjergsen taken down in a second by Kevin there, and that's going to be Candy Panda picking another one from Maluna. Deficio manages to land the hook. The ace in the hole comes out, but it's not going to stop Candy Panda and the rest of SK Gaming. They're going to take down the first inhibitor turret. The inhibitor will follow, and SK Gaming are in full control. They may even try and finish the game here.
Great job by Kevin there, focused onto Bjergsen, stunned him, prevented Serap's Embrace from coming out, prevented the Shockwave from coming out, prevented Bjergsen from flashing away as well. Good engagement there, kept tossing out the Ice Claw, kept saying, I'm not going in, I'm not going in, found one when he could jump on Bjergsen and ended the game off of it.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. SK Gaming, they beat Gambit yesterday and they beat Ninjas in Pajamas today. Ocelot in front of his home crowd has taken SK Gaming to another fantastic victory, and really you cannot discount the amazing play that Candy Panda put throughout that game.
Every single member of that team played perfectly. Again, aside from the 3-minute turret kill that was a simple 3-on-1 lane setup, nothing was given up by SK. Not a buff steal if you don't count level 1 2-2, which doesn't count. Not a kill, not a turret past that one. They actually started controlling NIP's buffs pretty soon, and that is how you play an immaculate early to mid-game snowball. They got an early lead, they ganked the bottom lane when the turret was dead and got a double kill off into Freezio, and they snowballed that off. Kevin held his lane against Extinct, actually built an eventual 80 minion kill lead there. Ocelot held up against Bjergsen, kept up in minions there, and the team, as a team, controlled everything.
Absolute brilliant performance, and more importantly, a 34-minute win for SK Gaming. Of course, our analysis, Joe and Jason, are standing by, ready and waiting to take us through that pretty much one-sided match.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Demon. SK Gaming, 34 minutes. They dragged it out a little bit longer. They took everything though. I mean, this is a performance from SK that was pretty much flawless the entire game.
That was actually one of their faster wins, now that I think about it. I mean, they played against Fnatic, it was like 63 minutes long against them for their victory. But yeah, it was a little bit weird because it was really reminiscent of what we saw Lemon Dogs versus Gambit last week, where Lemon Dogs, no, it was this week, sorry. They pushed the 2 middle turrets right away, backed off, did nothing. And Gambit just took advantage of that, took Dragon, then just kept taking a little bit by little, and then eventually stronger than them because all the lanes or the middle lane was pushed up so far, no one could really farm in that lane except Gambit.
Yeah, and we saw, I mean, the Dragon control obviously was a massive factor in that game. Yeah. 5 dragons they took by the end of it. I think the last one they may have not needed. That was after they'd done the Baron, but they went back there. They wanted to keep control. And SK have this weekend played a lot safer. We noticed that in their first win against Gambit, where they had this lead, they had the possibility to maybe go and fight, to maybe go and push, but they were very, very cautious about it. And for me, that's a team that have had a very big talk about this before, because SK, they've said it themselves, we've said it time and time again, they have problems closing out games. It doesn't seem to matter how big the lead is even for them, that they have some kind of inbuilt problem with finishing off games, and I think that's where this caution has come from the chats from Ocelot and the rest of the team, that better safe than sorry. We only need to pick up wins. It doesn't matter if it's in 20 minutes or whether it's in 200 minutes.
Hopefully not 200 minutes ever. But yeah, I mean, you saw their hesitation quite a bit in that game. They had like a 10,000 goal lead, and they had 3 or 4 people grouped up middle, and yet they still didn't want to push that turret down when they had a clear advantage. To me, it's something they need to work on, but picking up these wins right now is the most crucial thing.
Yeah, and leading up into that as well was just perfect control from SK Gaming. Fantastic performance from them. They'll be happy to take their win here in our final day in Tenerife. We're going to go over to the stage where Shox is waiting for an interview.
Thank you very much, Ocelot. Congratulations. Another victory in front of the home crowd. Let's talk a little about the picks and bans, maybe starting with the first pick, Vayne, a very risky first pick. Tell us why.
Bueno, antes que nada felicitarte por otra victoria más aquí en España, en tu casa. El tema de picks, esa Vayne que podría haber sido un poquito, digamos, arriesgada. Háblanos de ese primer pick.
Well, Candy Panda, as everybody knows, along div, like that bot lane is crazily good, And Vayne is a hero that requires a lot of mechanical skills, and Candy Panda has them. So why not just first pick it, So I totally have all my trust in my players, especially Candy Panda, And his Vayne is just sick, as you saw. Every single game he plays Vayne, he's so dangerous. ¿Ahora en español? Pues, no, tranquilos. Entonces, vamos a ver. Ayer estuve hablando con Candy Panda y tal. Esto no lo he dicho en inglés, pero bueno. Ayer estuve hablando con Candy Panda y tal, y le dije, ¿y por qué no piques a Vayne mucho antes? Tienen la habilidad mecánica para usarla perfecto. Y dice, pues sí, no es mala idea. Y eso hemos hecho hoy y ha ido perfecto. Todo el mundo en el equipo sabe que Candy Panda tiene una habilidad mecánica impresionante. Y por qué no piquear Vayne, que depende de eso.
como primer pick. Lo hace perfecto, ¿por qué no?
And secondly, it must feel good that they banned out your Karthus after you did really well with them yesterday. So you played Jace, a champion we don't see you on often. So how did that lane matchup go?
Bueno, tienes que sentirte orgulloso por el hecho de que te han baneado a Karthus cuando el anterior día lo había jugado perfecto y, vamos, ha sido así. Ahora has picado Jace, un campeón que, bueno, no te hemos visto tanto con él. De hecho, yo personalmente diría que nunca la LCS. Háblanos un poquito de ese pick.
When I saw the Karthus ban, I smiled a bit. And on the other hand, I said, oh, shit. You know, I know I shouldn't say that. But, when I see the Karthus ban, I mean, that's the last thing I expect, you know. Everybody knows that my Karthus, I mean, it's just from the past, you know. It was really, really bad. I kind of train it a little bit, and it kind of fits me right now more because I earned some courage to engage. So it's good that they banned him. And of course, about the Jace pick, nothing else to say than I didn't train a single game with him. This was the first game in like ages I played with him, so it wasn't too bad, I guess. So I don't know. And now in Spanish, sobre Karthus, me parece un poco, bueno, sonreí un poco cuando lo banearon, porque es un héroe que nunca se me ha dado bien y pasa que pues, ayer por lo que sea lo jugué bastante bien, con 3 o 4 partidas que las jugué en casa y nada, pues muy feliz de que lo baneen, pero cuando lo banearon sí que dije un poco, cago en la leche, a ver qué hago ahora. Porque luego picaron a Oriana y dije, madre mía, me han quitado todos los héroes. Pero luego pillé a Jace, parece ser que lo juego bien, que me he dado cuenta hoy, vaya.
Now, Ose, después de 3 días de LCS, cuéntanos sobre tu experiencia en España.
Should I go already with English? I mean, English and
Spanish? You can do both or just Spanish. You can choose.
Okay. Well, this is the last game we're going to play right here in Tenerife. All of my team along me, like, we are so happy playing here. This people is really awesome. And, yeah, honestly, I'm so proud of being Spanish right now, you know. And of course, every single time we get a kill or something, you guys go crazy. I know there's a lot of SK Army and OZ Army. I know that, YOLO. And I'm honestly really happy. I hope LCS comes back to Spain, which I think it will eventually because you guys are awesome and everything was perfect. So nothing else to add. And now in Spanish, yo creo que todos me habéis entendido que somos la leche y que sigues así todos. ¿Qué más? Para mí es el apoyo que nos dais a SK y a mí con los Celote War Army, que es que de verdad me parece, vamos, no tengo palabras, de verdad. Soy los putos amos.
Muchas gracias, Carlos. Now there is still time to send us your answers to today's Twitter question. What champion do you expect to see banned the most in the coming weeks and while? We'll be reading our favorite tweets later on in the show, so hit us up at LOL Esports, #LCS.
Aún hay tiempo para poder enviarnos vuestras respuestas a nuestra pregunta de Twitter de hoy. ¿Qué campeón esperas que sea el más baneado de todos en las próximas semanas y por qué? Leeremos nuestras 5 respuestas favoritas más tarde en el show. Así que recuerda escribirnos a LOL Esports utilizando el #LCS.
Now we have to take a short break, but when we come back, Snoopy returns to the jungle for EG. Will it be enough to put them over the top, or will MYM make him wish he stayed on the sidelines?
Inch ma to mogę.